Welcome, age of vintage society. One image from a specialised source can sometimes become iconic. Tura Satana from the film Faster Pussycat Kill Kill is one such example. Why Tura Satana had to be nasty and physically aggressive in Hollywood. Make sure to watch the video until the end and leave your thoughts in the comments. If you are new here, join our wonderful community by subscribing to the Age of Vintage channel. The cult classic Faster Pussycat Kill Kill stars the late icon Tura Satana as the vicious go-go dancer Vala. Like much of Russ Meyer's risque filmography, it is a vivid, thrilling and not everyone's cup of tea movie. It was marketed as Russ Meyer's hymn to the violence in women and is categorized as an exploitation movie. It's clearly different anti-heroine Vala, who resembles an evil Betty Page, with a mystique from Japan, maintaining an interesting character. While playing her breakthrough role, she drag races over the desert, drops some of the most hilarious one-liners ever recorded, much of them improvised, and basically kicks patriarchal ass. But having experienced the storylines of multiple blockbusters before, turning 16, her life was stranger than fiction. In this video you will get to know all about the transition of Satana into Vala. Vala was indeed not just a role she played, instead it reflects her personality. So, is Vala a powerful feminist figure, or is she the fantasy of a masochistic man? She might be both. No? Let's find out. Tura Luna Pasquale Yamaguchi was born in Hokkaido, Japan in 1938 to a Japanese and Filipino father and a Native American and Scotch-Irish mother. As she grew older, she established herself as an exotic dancer and B-list movie star. With just one performance, she rose to legendary cult status. Even if you've never seen Vala in Faster Pussycat Kill Kill, where she has a star appearance, you might recognise her for her Scottish, Japanese and Native American ancestry, as well as the skin-tight leather outfits, jet black bangs and cat-eye makeup that made her a pin-up star. Though the journey of becoming a pin-up star was not a straight path, the Yamaguchi family arrived in the United States in 1942 and was sent to the Manzanar War Relocation Center, a World War II internment facility for Japanese Americans close to Lone Pine, California. The family went to Chicago after the war ended, though it's unclear if the US government forced them to do so or if they chose to do so on their own. Later, Satana claimed that racial harassment and other forms of abuse were a regular part of her life in Chicago. She grew up rapidly, which seemed to mess things up. She was mistreated as a young child, which made her understandably frightened and enraged as well. She embarked on a revenge mission, eventually tracking down each and every one of the so-called young men and kicked their asses. In the hopes that she would be able to defend herself, her father started teaching her martial arts, a skill that would prove useful to her throughout her career. In martial arts she achieved a black belt. She further claimed that she established a girl gang to protect her community. She fought for longer than most of us believe anyone should, yet her battles shaped the foxy femme fatale she would become. When she was only 15 years old, she started dancing in nightclubs. Her first stage name, Galatea, was a reference to the Greek mythology statue that Pygmalion created and fell in love with. While talking about her experience, she once said that the people who came to Calumet City were mainly factory workers. Roughnecks and blue-collar labourers made up the majority. They pushed you farther away to a row of houses for extracurricular activities once you became too old to dance there. That was not something I stayed for. I wore a kimono from Japan. I carried my own Buddha and wore a large headpiece. On the stage, he would take a seat on a stool. I used to pretend to kill myself after the dancing routine with a tiny Hara-Kiri knife. She eventually gained the title of Miss Japan Beautiful and was well known for performing her vibrant tassel act, which incorporated dance, martial arts and gymnastics. But Vala from Faster Pussycat Kill Kill is the character from whom she is most well known. Though Satana played in several B-movies like Astro Zombies and The Doll Squad, in the role of Vala she is undeniably attractive in a way that is nearly unreachable. her long dark hair pushed back into a bouffant, and heavy winged eyeliner can give her a fierce impression on screen, and you would realise that practically every scene she is in has her glaring at the camera. Vala is a tough go-go dancer in the movie who lives and moves fast. In an interview with the Chicago Tribune, she claimed that the killer babe in black had been hiding inside her ever since her days in Chicago. Vala was essentially a part of my persona from my time in Chicago, she said. It was challenging, and working on the part with Russ Meyer made me discover a lot of anger I had been suppressing. In essence, some of my resentment over what happened to me is where Vala originated from. Despite her wicked on-screen persona, Satana was a really crafted woman behind the scenes of Faster Pussycat, but she didn't get along with Sue Bernard, the actress tasked with portraying Linda, the kidnapped waif at the core of the action. Susan and I didn't get along, Satana later said. She was accompanied by her mother, who was one of those mums who would warn others not to approach her daughter if they randomly offer her something. She had to actually hate me in exchange for me to get anything out of her in terms of acting. To gain a response, I had to be nasty and physically aggressive while squeezing out my teeth. However, it appears that all of her heroic actions in that movie came when we were at odds. She cried non-stop the rest of the time. Russ Meyer, the director, was renowned for running his sets like a military operation. He demanded professionalism from his actors and his team on set, regardless of the content of his films. Satana, however, was not a person who followed the rules. In addition to breaking the director's regulations by continuing her relationship with the second cameraman, Jill Hameson, Satana also clashed with Meyers about how to stage a number of the sequences. Meyer claimed that despite their disagreements over the scenes, he would have to convey to her that she could direct the shooting, but that he would edit the scenes as he saw fit. Despite their troubled relationship, Satana assisted Faster Pussycat in obtaining distribution rights in Europe, which most likely resulted in a small increase in revenue for everyone. Despite their disagreements while filming, Satana had complete control over the action in her fight scenes. Her background in martial arts enabled her to filter out the action in the movie so that it appeared realistic. Everyone on the set did everything according to her, including shifting objects, marking the scenery, and marking the locations where they needed to be for the next take. Nobody else knew how to stage fight scenes, so she had to do them herself. To make the fight scenes look realistic, she literally had to pick up every single one of those guys and carry them through. Basically, she had to put one of the men on the ground because he was scared of getting hurt. Imagine filming a fight scene that way. A lot of it actually expected to be handled differently. She also deserves praise for her performance in the Astro Zombies, a character solely focused on achieving her goal of mind control. She portrays the head of an unknown multinational secret agency in the Astro Zombies that is determined to obtain a novel type of thought wave transmission that would allow them to command dead bodies. She is the film's antagonist, and there is more than a hint of anti-Asian sentiment present. It is clear that the decision to cast her in that role was deliberate, but she pulls it off admirably, prowling around seductively in tacky evening gowns while holding a tiny pistol and a cigarette in one hand. One of the best moments is when Satana, wearing the infamous pink dress, stands in tall black stilettos with one foot on the pool's diving board and quickly shoots a man to death. She gives the dead body a quick glance before turning and storming away. This is what we find so alluring about her. She is equally beautiful and terrible. Although it is undeniable that her race and figure are being used on screen, she exudes compelling, strong confidence that suggests she is in control despite the close-ups of her revealing neckline. If you are staring at her, that's because she is allowing you to stare at her. The movie, The Astro Zombies, is nearly unwatchable, but Satana is captivating, and often it feels like she is the only actress in the entire film who is aware of her role. Satana was one of the first truly terrifying 1960s female horror villains at a time when there weren't many of them, according to the film, which is sometimes classified as a horror movie. She embodies the classic femme fatale qualities of being stunning and deadly, while also being proud to get her hands dirty. She fights her way through the film, not letting anyone tell her no. A few years before the 1970s, when slasher films like A Bay of Blood, Black Christmas, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre and the renowned Halloween first gained popularity, she appeared in Mikkel's sci-fi horror Abomination. These films would give rise to the final girl narrative, a popular and frequently used concept in which a female victim experiences constant dread before escaping or killing her perpetrator. The phrase was made well known by Carol J. Clover in her well-known essay Her Body, Himself, which aims to demonstrate how the lead female character in slasher movies can transform into her own warrior. The idea is frequently regarded as feminist because it gives the female character the courage to defend herself against a murderer who is usually male. Because we are aware of women's strength and appreciate seeing it on screen, we adore the final girl. However, we frequently overlook the fact that she needs to be strong because the other character wants to kill her when we are celebrating her. She became her own sort of final girl, and that's what Satana of the Astro Zombies also reflects, because she is motivated by desire for power and control rather than a desire for revenge, which seems 1,000 times better because she doesn't have to be mistreated in order to want it. Off-screen, Satana led a fascinating life as well. Most of her early years are the subject of rumours. She frequently recalled dating Elvis Presley before moving to Hollywood. She claimed she gave the King dance lessons. Satana claimed that Presley was so impressed with the teenage burlesque dancer that he proposed to her and gave her a diamond ring. According to her, she turned down the offer and kept the present. Well, we can accept this from her as she became aware of handling men at quite a young age. Earlier than usual, her parents had planned her arranged marriage, as was normal in Japan. At the time she was 13 and he was 17. She broke out of it, as would have to be expected of a young woman who had realized that life may be better than the limitations of a domestic home. She had other marriages as well. Tura had also married Endel German, whom she adored, and John Satana, giving her the now famous last name. When she was 19, she gave birth to a daughter who was named Kalani. Aside from these relationships, she pushed the boundaries of what an Asian woman could be at the time in a variety of ways. She worked as a burlesque dancer in Chicago while also working for the FBI as an agent, sharing details about the mafia operatives who visited the nightclubs where she performed. Later in life, she worked in a variety of jobs, including nursing and LAPD dispatching. She fractured her back in a vehicle accident in the 1980s, a twist of fate Vala would probably scoff at, and it took her years to heal. Heart failure took the life of Ms. Tura Satana on February 4, 2011 in Reno, Nevada. She once remarked in an interview with author and artist Mariko Tamaki, "I learned to be tough because of what life was delivering me. Either I could stand up and kick ass, or I could go down for the count." This reminds me of a scene in the final moments of Faster Pussycat Kill Kill, when one of the men on the ranch posed a question to Vala. "What do you want?" she says, "Everything," without missing a beat as she stares him in the eye and smiles. Ms. Satana claimed that the reason for her effective performance in Faster Pussycat Kill Kill was that she was basically playing herself. She was letting a lot of anger out that she kept inside of her all those years when she was growing up. She finally let it out. The roles Tura Satana played on screen and in movies gave her a sense of freedom. For a brief moment as you watch her peacefully, she is no longer Vala, just Tura, finally able to get through. She boosts confidence in your ability to make decisions and encourages you to want everything for yourself. Don't you think so? If you liked this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you're new here, and if you want to support my work, please visit my Patreon page. There were trailblazers like Tura Satana, and there were women who sacrificed themselves. How women sacrificed themselves for Sesu Hayakawa. Watch this video.